Excited to be even here on Fanbase. This is my first time sharing on Fanbase, but I'm still excited. So again, we know most people are off work, or if you depend on what field you're in, you could actually be at work, but thank you for listening. So happy Memorial Day. But today we pause, and even though we pause to remember and salute, the fighting fallen, we salute our military, the people of service who fought a good fight, but their fight is over but not forgotten. But also today is special because we get to talk about you. We get to speak about you to you, right? This is the space where oftentimes we don't get to say it's about me out loud, but it is about you. So today we get to do that. And if you don't, this is a great place and time to start. We know life shows up, and sometimes it feels like it could be a war zone. Oftentimes we're faced and deal with things that may even have us feeling like, when I think about the military and people of service, that we could be on the battlefield. But I'm also here to give you some ammunition to tell you that you're definitely packed with power. And I want you to know that there is a blessing. There's even a blessing in putting yourself first. So beyond our babies, because I know this is the moms group, right? The fan base, the real moms of fan base, right? So I know that. So, but beyond the babies, the bills, and if you're a boss mom or even a CEO, there is pride in a lot of people today. It's like even you see flags everywhere, but I want you to be okay to take pride in you and the fact that whether you being a parent chose you or you chose it, you're a mom, and it's a blessing and it's a great gift, but so are you. So understanding the power of putting yourself first is not, of course, neglecting any of our responsibilities, because I am blessed to be a mother of three. My oldest will be 34, but my youngest is 12. So I get it. So almost anything you could think about, I probably have gone through it or discussed it, right? Having adult children as well as a minor. I get it, being a mom, and I understand. And that's one of the greatest things that God could have allowed me to be, is to be the bearer of, children that they don't belong to us, right? If you know anything, that we're given our children for a short time to just be guardians over them, right? But beyond our babies, it has to be about us. So understanding the power of putting yourself first, we don't have to neglect ourselves. We don't have to wait for when they choose to celebrate us on our birthdays, or a special date is marked on somebody's calendar somewhere, or when you just say, well, today is my day. Why can't we think about self-care and putting ourselves first every day, right? Remember, it's never above your creator, because when I speak about self-care and putting yourself first, I'm woman of faith, know where my help comes from. But in knowing that, I know what he has given me, and he has allowed me to be free to not only share and say for myself, but to also allow others to know that you can say it's about you. It's about you because we serve somebody. I don't care if it's our cat or our dog. We serving somebody because somebody or something is going to want and require our attention. But what is self-care? Self-care is the practice of taking an active role in preserving your own health. It's the practice of taking an active role in protecting your own well-being and happiness, or like I like to call it, your own joy. Because joy, the joy that we have, for some, see, the world can't give it and the world can't take it away. We have to watch even using the word happy. There's nothing wrong with being happy, But for a lot of people, you're happy based on what is happening. So if something is not going your way or it's not making you feel happy, then you're not happy. That's why it's even oftentimes we say happy is good, but I reach for joy, right? So let's go for the joy, unspeakable joy. And just in case I would be remiss if I did not, in case there is a believer on here and saying, well, she's talking about self-care and putting yourself first. And we know that God should be the head and he should be first. You are correct. But he also was wise enough to even show us in his word that it's okay for us to think about ourselves. We know that he even told us what? To love your neighbor as yourself. But a lot of us can't be great neighbors, let alone it's harder for us to be even the best parent that we can be because we're not being a good neighbor to ourselves. So sometimes we need to be what? Like a good neighbor. Be a good neighbor to yourself and be okay to start putting yourself first, right? It's even in the word. He even went so far as God even went so far as to know the importance of taking time and taking time away for self-care. That's what this is about. So it shouldn't be about some special holiday. We should self-care every day. So for the people who are actually doing it, that's beyond the manicure, the pedicure. And trust me, don't get me wrong. I love to know to have those services done. And for some, that's a big deal. So I applaud you when you do take the time to just allow somebody else to do something special to you and for you. But it needs to be beyond that. It needs to be a part of our lifestyle that we know that it is okay to take time every day to find time for you, to put your own self back on your own calendar, to put your own self back on your own to-do list. I know we have lists for everything, but are you a part of that list? And are you at the top of that list? Or do you say, I'll get to me later? Those are the things that we need to be mindful of as we grow in grace, right? We want to grow in grace and grow in love. And definitely I'm a woman that part of what makes me me and allow me to be able to be in the space that I'm in is understanding, gratitude and grace. But without knowing who you are, we can't even know what we need. I already told you that, I'm a mother of three, and I've been blessed to be married. This year will be 20 years. Man, that's a big thing. And I know you guys are just listening in and you can't come off your mics right now, but that's a great deal. And in there, at times, life will show up. And then what happened for me, because my entire adult life, I've been somebody's mother. I've been somebody's mommy, whether it was a godchild, or if it was one of my nieces or nephews, I've always been in that role. But, for me, I had to take a pause because life showed up, and I say by choice or by force. You will be required at some point in your life to make it all about you. A blood clot showed up for me. One day I was at work. I was working, thinking I had a Charlie horse. So pay attention to your body. If I don't say nothing else, pay attention to your body. Our bodies, our minds give us signs and signals to let us know that something is going on and we could possibly be ignoring it. I was walking around for almost 2 weeks, a good solid 10 days, thinking I had a Charlie horse. I was rubbing on it, massaging it, taking showers, taking ibuprofen, taking Tylenol. And then one day the pain would not subside. It had me in tears. I was at work standing, crying like a baby, and had to be taken to the hospital. When they did the examination, they then said, excuse me, how long have you been walking around like this? And I went on to tell them, it's been almost, over a week or so, but I've been doing this, that, and the other. And it was like, well, one of the things that I was doing was very dangerous because, of course, anybody know anything about DVTs, massaging them, you could move the clot up that could have possibly taken me out of here. So, but by the grace of God, I am still here, recently just even off of taking blood thinners, but I press, right? And as mothers, that's oftentimes what we do. We will push what we need aside to then say, they need me, somebody else need me, something else need me. And I'm even smart enough to know that for some people, they actually need that because they don't want to have to deal with who? With themselves. Remember, this is about the power of putting yourself first, not the power of neglecting yourself. The power of putting yourself, you have to be a priority. I know, being a mom for some, that could be, it's a blessing being a mother. And that gives you your whole life. That's your whole life. But there is more. There is more. We have been given permission and allowed to love ourselves. Of course, not to be lovers of ourselves, because, we're not supposed to do that. But it's okay to love you and love you unapologetically, love yourself out loud. And that includes self-care and self-love. One of the questions that, when we get to the question portion later, and I just want you to think about it, when is the last time you've been told someone no without explanation, right? Some of us, we're okay, right? Some of us, I'll tell you no, but then you feel like you have to add on an explanation. So make note, because I want to raise that question later. Like, when is the last time you said no without explanation, without some form of even apology for saying no? When and how often do you do it and not even feel guilty? Because we do it without even realizing that that's what we're doing. We teach people how to treat us every day. That even means, of course, our kids, that's people around us. We teach people how to treat us. So we know that in this, and one of the things that we need to be mindful of in the steps and processes and strategies of putting yourself first is that you have to be okay to then, for some, have a come to Jesus meeting with your families. You need to be okay to say, now, not only do I have to retrain them, but I have to retrain me and retrain your brain to say, we're no longer operating this way. Recently, a couple of days ago, I had somebody to come and look at my computer, and certain things were popping up all over the place. Just like life, it'll pop up all over the place. But then you have to go and then run a system check to say what no longer is needed. Some of us are committed to some things that are no longer serving the things that we're doing now, the path that we're on now, the life that we're leading now, or the life that we should be leading now. We need to be okay that during different times in our life, whether it's once a month, whether it's once a quarter, whether it's every 6 months or even once a year, look at that thing and say, thank you, because we have to be okay to bless a thing. But if it needs to be let go, to okay it, free it, bless it, and let it go. In putting yourself first, you already know. If you don't, I'm going to tell you, one of the keys is even forgiveness. We know that forgiveness is about you, but it's forgiving even something that you might be responsible for. It's not always with what somebody else might have done to us, but it's what we might be responsible for. But freeing yourself to say, okay, that was me then, and this is me now, and I'm choosing different. We get a choice every day, just like you ladies, and I appreciate that, for stopping by to tune into this room to hear and be a part of this conversation. That's the same thing we get to do every day, that we get to raise our head and open our eyes and with our hands on our hearts and thank our God above for allowing us to see another day, to thank him for allowing us to even recognize and be mindful of the breath in our body. All too often we even forget about that. That's a blessing, just to be able to breathe, and that we're not breathing with the assistance of some type of machine. We have to be okay to know that stuff, right? We know that, shoot, all too often it's been a myth in saying that putting yourself first is selfish, but we know that's wrong, because there is a difference. Self-care is simply bettering yourself, where being selfish, of course, is turning your back on everything else and everybody else and only thinking about you. But if you're a mom and you like, I'm doing the doggone thing, I'm proud of my kids, I'm we're striving and we're building, and we're not doing bad, Shawana. I don't take it for granted or believe that everybody is in a bad place, but I guarantee you, if you were to look at your life, there is something that we all could be doing a little bit better. There's something that we all could be doing a little bit more, to love ourselves a little bit more, so we can live longer, healthier lives, out free, free. I know things are opening back up now, but to then get back into that. So I hope, even while some of us had the opportunity to be isolated and insulated, that we've come out greater for it, right? Despite the loss. But when we think about ourselves, did we lose ourselves in certain things? Do we lose ourselves in our kids, and then look up and they're grown and you like, now it's me. Now it's about me. It can be about you, even starting today, by making simple choices to do things differently. this is a brand new decade. Like the pandemic, we can still choose to do different, right? When was the last time what you was observers to yourself? So heck, if you like me, I'm kind of animated, and and it does help because when we move our bodies, it causes something. Because when you think about putting yourself first, it causes you have to do something. You have to move to action. That requires you to not only think different, but you have to be different, and you have to move different when you put yourself first. Sure, could we talk about exercise? Matter of fact, if I was to be honest, as I'm sitting here with you ladies, I'm actually sitting here with one of those sweat bands around my stomach as we speak. LOL. I am. I'm sitting here with you because I need to know that where you can, right? For some, we have to get it in where we can fit it in and do what you need to do to say, I am still thinking about me throughout the course of my day. I have not done this 8, 10, 12 hours, depending on your profession, and forgotten about you while serving other people, right? The who, when we think about putting yourself first, I'm very big on, and in the book, The 5 W's, we talk about who. The who is you. You're that person. And if we were to even get back to basics, because some people like, well, I hear all of that, but I don't even know where to begin. How about we get back to the basics? Back to the basics of understanding it's an inside job. It's an inside job. And we have to be okay to even lead ourselves first. Some of us are over and in charge of bodies of people, but oftentimes we neglect ourselves. So if you was to think about ABCs and you wanted to write it down real quick, it's as simple as what? Acknowledging that certain things do happen, certain things did happen, right? We have to call it what it is. We have to call it back in order to get our power back. Put a name on it, because you cannot fix what you're not willing to face. We have to put a name on it. So acknowledge it. Get your power back. Call it what it is. Access it. Get the tools. Get the aid you need, right? But then what would be brave and bold enough, right? Believing in the process. Being okay to even be more positive and stop some of the stinking thinking. Thought life is huge. When you think about putting yourself first, we talk ourselves out of a whole lot of stuff. And we have to be mindful to even watch some of that stinking thinking. We have to be more proactive, right? But then be brave and bold enough to become more of our true, authentic self, to even be okay to say no and mean the no, right? And even sometimes start saying yes, and not only to ourselves, yes to opportunities, yes to things that we've been waiting on. And it's like, what are you waiting for? The time is now. We're not promised to tomorrow. All we get is today. That's why we're supposed to be grateful in what happens today. That is why even right now, you could be doing other things, but the importance in putting yourself first is being mindful of the moment, to be present. One of the gifts you can give to yourself, yeah, we know every day is a new gift, right? But even being in certain moments is a gift, because you can miss the opportunity of a lifetime by not, you could be in the room but not be present and miss something that has been designed just for you. Because I'm one of those people that could believe that God will cause a whole group to come together just to give a message to one person, because you matter that much. He'll cause a whole something to come together, but the message was only for you. You was like, why was I here? Because he had something else designed for somebody else, right? And then we think about C. We talked about A, acknowledging it, right? And then B, being brave and bold enough to face it in order to fix it. But you have to have courage and with confidence, right? Communicate it. Say what you need to say. Get the care that you need to get. And for some, it's okay. It's okay if you need some therapy. It's okay if you go to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. All too often, we know that it was taboo. And I'm so grateful that because the message is now becoming louder, it's being amplified, and more than ever before, people are seeking professional help to have conversations, because sometimes you need to just have the conversation to get it out, right? We have to get it out. And just in case you didn't know that, did you know that stress affects every area in our bodies? It affects what? Our cardiovascular system, every system. When you're stressing out, you are stressing everything out. We're wondering why we, for some, we can't even lose weight because we're stressed out. So that causes all these other things to happen in the different systems in our body. So have the uncomfortable conversation, the courageous conversation, starting with you. Acknowledge it, be brave and bold enough, and with courage and confidence, start to move to action to put you first. It is about you. Self first is something that we know that for a lot, they didn't talk about that because, in some homes, it's do as I say, not as I do, right? And what happens in this house stays in this house. They weren't talking about the importance of even what, for some, you were eating what you were able to eat. They weren't even stressing the fact of, proper exercise and drinking the right amount of water. For me, when I was a little kid, my mom, because of course I was a foodie, I've been a foodie all my life, but she would, that was her way to show me that she loved me by giving me food. God bless her, and of course nowadays she apologized and be like, Shawan, I'm so sorry I did that to you. But that was her way to show love. But now we know different. Now we have access to more things to help us be better for ourselves that is going to benefit our babies, that is going to benefit our community, that is going to benefit those around us, but starting with us first. Because when you're loving yourself, truly loving yourself, it shows up on the outside, not just in your skin, not just in the way you walk, not just in the way you talk, but in everything. When you're a person who truly loves yourself, people know it and they want to get to know you because it's something special about you. And it causes, you become this big magnet. Be like, what is it? Because you're loving yourself more. Here's the one thing we all were, and was to be honest with ourselves at different times when I'm thinking about, today being Memorial Day, and recognizing that we've all had dry places in our lives and things that we possibly, if we were being honest, that we might have created spaces where we were neglecting ourselves, where it needed a little bit more nourishing, and we could have been watering certain areas of our lives a little bit more. But it's okay. We can start right here. Why? The who is you. And what you need to understand is the importance of knowing your worth, and not only your worth, but your worth to the world. We often are big on saying, girl, you got it, you know your worth. But sometimes we forget that things that we've been given and granted and graced with, it's not just for us, but it has to start with us, but it's not just for us. It's for the people that we get to serve. When we need to move to action right now, knowing that for some, our very lives depend on it. For some of us, if we don't take some immediate action, you're basically what? Signing your own death certificate, because it is that important. Self-care and self-care now is important. Where I told you it's an inside job. Oftentimes we be looking all around for certain things, but it starts on the inside. I said it already. We teach people how to treat us every day. We teach us how to treat us. And if you're neglecting yourself, you're already telling yourself you don't respect yourself. If you're neglecting yourself, you're telling yourself you don't respect yourself. And we have to be okay to love ourselves more. Why? What? We've been given this life, right? We've been given this life for whatever time that we have here. And we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility and an obligation to do and be our very best. Yeah. Because we are a gift. You're a gift. You are a gift. So if nobody told you that you're precious, yes, you are. If nobody told you that you're loved, yes, you are. And if we were in person or you were watching me even on a video, most people know that, yes, I'm an adult that even carry a pom-pom. And that's because when I shake the pom-pom, I shake the pom-pom because it represents me celebrating you, but also challenging you to do the things you need to do for you, that it will benefit your community. But it has to start with you first. And then when I think about the pom-pom, it's power over mindset, power over me. When I understand the power over my mindset, it equips me and it gives me what I need to know that I have more power over me and the decisions that I make that benefit the other people, right? We have to, even for some, stop being so easily accessible. I know that depending on where you are, summer break might be the first official week of summer break. And I know that's going to, shift and change some things with the world opening up. But that's why you need to pause. And if you haven't done so, say, okay, how are we going to structure this so that it does not become a summer filled with the children, right? Because you need time too. Putting in your plan, or if you're a post person that put up post-its, post a note that represents you. Post a note that is a non-negotiable as it pertains to you. Stop being so easily accessible. Turn off some of those notifications. How about even setting some new goals, ones that you know that's going to excite you, ones that you know that you'll say, oh man, by the end of the summer, I did that thing, right? Because it will be a goal that will boost that momentum, that will give you what you need to actually see it through this time, right? Because for some, you already have stuff created. It's now time for you to say, yeah, I'm going to put me first and I'm going to finish what I started. We talked about even being forgiving. Forgiveness is for you, but how about you start with even forgiving yourself first? Forgiving yourself for at times when you might have even felt it or even heard a small voice saying, you know, you need to do this, girl. You know, you need to do this for yourself. Forgive yourself and love yourself a little bit more. And I know part of my own personal secret sauce is thinking about having and operating in a space of gratitude. When I think about all of God's goodness and the things that I get to do, the people that I get to serve, the stuff that I get to have, and I know that I don't have to have none of that, it causes me to smile. It brings joy to my heart, right? And I get to stand on that, and I walk in abundance because of it, and allows me to live a life of abundance walking in that space. Because for some, it is as simple as that. So we have to even pay attention to the negativity. When we hear or feel a thought, because if some thoughts cause you to react, if it causes you to feel your body rising, the temperature rising, you may want to, again, what I said, check yourself, right? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Maybe I'm dating myself back by mentioning that. But if you notice that you can have a thought and it totally changes everything about you, you need to check that thing and ask yourself some hard questions as to why. Why does this do this to you? And if it's been over a period of time, why is it still getting to you to that magnitude, right? We even need to be able to check our stress levels several times a day, not just if we're in a conversation, because sometimes we could think about something. I just said it. We could think about something and our temperature rise. We could see something and feel something rise in us. Be careful about even focusing on your failures versus, we can see something that didn't quite go so well and see it as an opportunity to say, do it different, or even be mindful to say, hey, you know what, at least I tried. Oftentimes, you talk to people who are trying to give you advice, but then those people are trying to give you advice on something that they've never done. I think it's funny and I think it's cute when people try to do that, but God bless them, right? Retrain your brain. Remember to set healthy boundaries. No is a complete sentence, right? When we think about no is just even what we know. I think I've heard it said, what, next opportunity? Or how about when we think about self first, looking at no as and saying no as never overlooking yourself again, right? I'm saying no to you because I'm choosing to never overlook me, because I know that if I'm helping you, that's not going to serve me, or it's taking away something that I really should be putting my time and attention on that I've been neglecting. I'm choosing to love me more. We know, then I have to be honest, when we think about and talk about putting yourself first, people can act a little funny. I know relationships can begin to be strained and feel strained, but that's okay too. Because if we're okay with growing, right? I'm a life learner. So in this life, I've learned to be okay with learning and knowing that relationships, some can be seasonal and some can be for a lifetime, but some are actually seasonal. And we try to make stuff that should be seasonal a lifetime. But now it's time for you to think about your lifetime. It's now time for you to put yourself back on top of the to-do list. It's now time for you to make yourself a priority and say, what can you do starting today, right? Because I don't know if you're barbecuing or already went to some things on yesterday, but choosing to do something for yourself today that your future, the things that we do today affects our future. So something starting today on what? May the 31st, 2020, that your future self will say, because I paused for the cause to do something for me. And you'll reflect back on today and said, I did it and I started that thing here, or I picked it back up today. That your future self is going to thank you for, because you matter that much. It's simple. Self first can be simple. Sometimes we make it hard. Be okay to have the healthy conversation with yourself first, right? We already know. If you don't, grab the journal, make note, see some of the things that you already do that you like, you know what, I really need to stop doing that. I'm a mother and I have to be okay to say no. I've had to say no. In this self first journey, it's been crazy because I told you I have adult children, and I not only talk about self first, but of course, yes, I wear the t-shirt too. So, one of my older children, my son, matter of fact, it was something that he was wanting. And I was like, and I gave him the no. And he said, oh, I forgot. You self person. Yeah, actually, I am. Yeah, I am. And you have to be okay, because I know for some of us, I love my babies, and some of them can be a little spoiled or whatever, and we've created some little monsters, right? But if we created them, we can help retrain them too, because we want them to understand, and we don't want them to. For me, I tell my children, I don't want you to get as old as me and then discover self-care, right? It needs to be a part of our lifestyle, and we can do it starting today. You're a mom, and I'm excited that you're a mom, or if you're listening in, or if you get the opportunity to take care of children, it's a blessing and it's a benefit. That's one of the most beautiful things in the world. But so are you. You have to be okay to put yourself back on top of the to-do list, because nobody can do it for you but you. Nobody can do it but you for you.